Hello, everyone. Today we're going to do, instead of doing the typical gaming kind of thing that we usually do, we're going to instead take a look at a slightly different perspective on the games that I do play, as well as the different kinds of data that you can find in games. So to get us started, this is going to be a quick little introduction to RStudio as well as Light. So first off, what's RStudio? RStudio is just good open source analysis software. Yet. Basically, you need two parts to it. You need the actual language, which is R. You can get it off this website. Then you need the actual RStudio. By the way, some of these get a little fancy. That you can actually get a desktop kind of open source kind of version that actually works really well. And again, you can download these to install them. After you've done that, after you fire up R, you're given this really boring kind of a little screen right here that looks a little bit like this. Not a lot going on, but as you'll see, start. The first thing we need to do if you are brand new to R is you need to get a couple library packages. The first one I always like to do is I like to go ahead and get the tidyverse packages. Do that, it's really straightforward. Just type in install.packages, then in quotes you type in tidyverse like this. Then you press enter and it goes and downloads it. I don't need to because I've already done this. So afterwards, you also need to get another package called RSQ Lite. By the way, when you're getting packages, it's critical that you make sure you do all your capitals and lowercase correctly. After you do that, you're pretty much ready to go for what we're going to be doing today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and call up the library after I have already downloaded. By the way, you only have to download a library once. I'm going to go and get my tidyverse, which has some really powerful here, which I like. And I'm going to go ahead and get my SQLite library as well. You're not going to get any angry messages here. So that works pretty well. So now what? Well, now we have to go get our data. Command Modern Air Naval Operations SQLite database. Wonderful, because we can actually import that. We can't edit it, which I know some people want to do, but we can import it. So how do we import it? What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use the command dbconnect. When you do dbconnect, you have to tell it how you intend to connect. You have to tell it what kind of database it is. And then you have to tell it where the database is. Usually these databases, by the way, if you just run this, you're going to be disappointed because it's going to load that database and not put it anywhere. I'm actually I'll put this right here real quick. So we need to go ahead and link to that database. How do you do that? Unfortunately or fortunately, you have to type it all in if it is on your computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go scoot on my computer. I'm going to go grab a copy of the modern database. That looks pretty good. If you hold shift and hit right click, shift right click, you can actually hit copy path. Then if we scoot back over here, I'm going to go ahead and paste. By the way, for those of you who do not have Command Modern Air Naval Operations, I can't recommend it enough. This is spectacular. Any kind of wargaming, very happy playing this game. I'm going to go ahead and clean up my quotes here because I had an extra one. Now, if you go ahead and just press enter, watch what happens. You're going to get this angry thing that says unrecognized escape in character. Why? It's because your slashes are backwards. Now, this is one of those things that the first time it happened to me, I said, oh, what did I do? What did I do? Just to realize it's really looking for a website. It's not really looking for, a specific link on the computer. And if I run it now, ta-da! It goes ahead and connects that SQLite to that database. Ta-da! So, cool. Now what? Well, next what we have to do is we're going to go ahead and take a look at what is inside of that database. Wow! Each one of these individual table of data used by this game. See, there's data, and then down here you get these guys called enums. Enum is just iteration. What you're doing is you're taking a word, you're connecting it to specific types of data. For example, if I just wanted to take a look at one of those just so you can take a look at it, we'll use command D table. Very cautious, by the way, as far as making sure you guys are using the correct case for everything. Notice I'm using quotes. I'm going to do enum. Let's do something weird like warhead caliber. Check it out. So now you can see what normally would happen is it would look up this value and it would give you this inside of the game when you look up specific data. So this is cool, but it really doesn't do well for us. So what are we going to do? So the first thing I like to do, I'm kind of a nerd myself, so I always like to take a look at engines. So taking a look real quickly here, I'm going to see if anything that there's data about. Data propulsion. So if I came down here and said data propulsion and just hit enter, all it's going to do is give me blah of all sorts of nasty stuff like this, which is that's nice, but unfortunately it doesn't do much for me because I can't read any of this. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take that same command and I'm going to go ahead and insert it directly in the table. Now, if you take a look up here, you can see I have a table that has all the information. If you want a better look at the table, you can actually click the button right here, and it will open that table up. Check this out. We have the propulsion type on the left. We have the different fuel consumptions, but all this is all kind of all over the place. So, what can we get out of any of this? Well, taking a look right now, we can this and that, and oh, geez, so much going on. It just makes my head spin. So, go ahead and clean this data up a little bit. First things first, I'm really only going to be in jet engine. Jet engine is a type 2001. So what I could do is I could say filter, I could say prop, and I could say type will equals, by the way, 2001, press enter, and it filters it out by, jet engine, things along those lines. It's definitely a lot cleaner, but it didn't do anything to my table. Let's say I only want the jet engine. So if I wanted to, I could type in jet engine. Alt minus, by the way, in case you're curious. We're going to do filter, prop, comma, and we're going to go ahead and type 2001. So now if I go view jet engine, I only have the jet engine. Starting to get kind of used, if you ask me. So another cool thing here is I can filter out specific, like if I don't want the comments category, I can filter that out. If I don't want the FSC category, I can go ahead and filter out. But this actually works really well. So what can I do with this big chunk of data? Well, there's a lot. One thing I could do, I could say I want to arrange the data by descending order. Thrust per inlet, for example. If I do that, it gives me a list of all the engines basically. Go up here from most thrust to least thrust, and you can see our CF6 is definitely dominating the top here, which is very, very. I'm not going to think about that too hard. By the way, this is in kilogram force. It's not in newton, not in pound force for you guys who are interested in that. So this is pretty. I mean, kind of nice. Kind of see everything. By the way, you can actually save that data back to that table, that little assignment. But I'm not interested in that. I want to see a little bit more. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and create a script. So what scripts are like running in the console. So my preferred method, and there's a lot of different ways to do this, and it works. I always say this, is I like to pipe. So prop refers to our table. The little thing right here says take the data from prop and then something. Okay, what do we want to do to it? So the first thing I want to filter out any of these thrusts that let's say here we could filter out any of the hypothetical by type. I'm actually going to leave that alone. Instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and gplot to information. Now, since we're doing prop and we're piping it, data is already selected for us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say mapping, aesthetic, and I'm going to say the x, not the z value. Let's say the x value is thrust per military times 2.2. Curious what the 2.2 is. I suggest converting kilogram force to pound force. Tell by the accent. And then on the y-axis, I'm going to go ahead and say I would like to. Oh, I don't want prop. I want jet engine. Good catch. I want to go ahead and say on the y-axis my specific consumption at military power. Now, if I just run this, nothing happens because I haven't actually told it to plot anything. It set my chart up really nicely, but there's actually no data on it. But that's actually kind of cool. See how that works. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and add a detail to it. I'm going to say, give me a point. And that's going to go ahead and make my chart crazy. So what is this? Each one of these dots represents one of the items on that table. In this case, my jet engine. Way up here with a terrible fuel consumption. There's one way over here with some serious rust as well. This is actually really out. So what am I going to do with all this? So I'm going to go ahead and add a geom text well. And when you do this, you have to tell it that you want the label to equal something. So in this case, I'm going to say label equals the name of the jet engine. And I'm also going to go ahead and set its size to 3. Let's go ahead and plot this. Oh boy, now we've done it. Boy, that's confusing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close that one out. Vertical justification, say minus. That works. Pressing Control Enter, by the way. Where is my mistake? Oh, made a mistake. Gotta find it. Gotta find it. Aesthetic. There it is. There we go. Ah, that's much. Try again. There we go. Let's go ahead and zoom. So check this out. We now have every jet engine side of this program all over this chart here. It's actually really useful. We can see that the KR-15, I believe that's an R-15 knockoff. I'm wrong about that. Is sitting up here in his own category with horrible fuel economy. We've got this generic turbojet. Coming over here, we have the JT9D. Of course, we have the CF6s, which are way, way down on this end, which makes sense if you think about it, because seriously, as far as thrust goes. But you can see this great little kind of like divide as far as it goes. Oh, what's the F-135? And you can see about 50,000 thrust. So this is actually pretty useful data. We could, of course, be sneaky. Well, I want to go ahead and friend of that data, so we can add a well. That looks like, oh yeah. You can see as the thrust increases, our specific fuel consumption. So that's useful, I guess. But at the same token, it's like, okay, so what are we gonna do with all this? I don't know. Let's narrow it down. Let's say I want to pick a aircraft in command that has a specific amount of thrust. I can filter thrust per military greater than, let's say I want an right in 5,000 to 10,000 kilogram for range. So I could say this and thrust per, watch out, less than 10,000 kilograms. Then of course I have to pipe it and then press enter. Let's see what happens. Uh-oh, I spelled it wrong. Ah, there we go. Check this out. Now I only get engine that produce about, let's see, 7,500 pound force up to 22, and it gives me a nice little range. So now if I were picking out a future engine for my purposes, I could look at this and go, well, this BR710B-40 Mark 101 is pretty fuel efficient. It produces almost 1,000 pounds of thrust. That's pretty good. We have the AL-20F. Then on this end, we're definitely getting more thrust, but our specific starting to stick up. This R-15 is right out. That's way too. I think that's the MiG-20. I'm mistaken. Probably wrong on that, but we can check. The R-35 isn't bad. This Olympus, that is. We have the NK-12 sneaking in here, and we just have a really, really cool idea of what's going on. And like I said, this is really powerful. Now, what if, let's cancel that out for a second. What if we only wanted to look at turbofan that had no afterburner? Well, this is why this program is powerful. You could do something like filtering out all engines that have afterburner thrust. Say thrust per engine afterburner, 0. Now, don't pipe it. If I run this, only get engines that don't have afterburners. Not necessarily going to be turbofans, but generally they are. And you can see we've gotten a considerably greater number of like CFM56s, the big turbofan cargo planes. KR, kind of curious what that is. I looked it up. I couldn't find anything. So this gives us of course, you have else done. So you filter these kind of things out, but you can get a really feel for all. That's pretty cool. So that's looking at engines. Let's look at something else. So I'm going to go ahead and use cheat hand here. So let's go ahead and put engines aside for a second and take a look at. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's call it sense. I'm going to say table. We're going to read off of this MD table. I'm going to go data sensor. Whoop. Nothing called deb table. For shame. There we go. So let's go ahead and take a look at sense. Go, oh my god, what have I done? For it? There it is. Whoa, okay. There's almost 6,000 entries here. And there's a lot of different types of sensors. And there's a lot of variation. It's not laggy because of the video, it's laggy because of how many are in it. You can see immediately that, oh man, there's a lot going on here. So what do we do with this data? Well, there's a couple different things. We can radars, we can sonar, we can focus on EM. Speaking of EM, I bet we have a cool time to. Now, one of the things I can do is I can say a range. A range basically says I want it to, oh, actually, select. Select says I want to select certain columns by certain details. So I'm going to select something from the and I'm going to say contain word EM. So without even thinking about it, if I press enter, check it out. It removes all the columns I don't need. Column. Actually pretty cool. But we want to go ahead and take a look at it. I'll play around with it a little bit. So I'm going to go back to my handy chart here. Then first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to filter it out by type. I go to sensor real quickly. You note that as a little type. 2001 is regular. How do you figure out what the types are? Actually, not too bad. So if I do table, and I always start with and database, comma, we're interested in type, right? Hey, look at that. So this tells us exactly what the radars are. You can see if we do a type 2001, that only gives us radars. So we're going to start by saying type 2000. We get to pipe it to the next step. It is possible, by the way, to do filters like this. Do something like that if that's, I don't know. I just find it easy to type. Obviously, we're not interested, but are interested, of course, in changing X and Y axis. So what might be interested in engine radars, I say? Well, the first thing I'd be interested in, let's take a look here. Oh, a lot of good pieces here. Let's do radar peak power. And then on the y-axis, let's go ahead and see if there's a relationship. Radar peak power. Radar, do we have range max? Ready? Go. Oh! Look at that. So, if you take a look on the y-axis, sound like a math teacher. Not, I'm a technology teacher. Curious. Scooting up here, 3,000 nautical miles away, we have the Brennes. This is range max. As far as radar peak power, sorry about that. I probably blew it out. That is excessive. Now that is what I call megawatt territory. By the way, if we want to convert out of watts, we could actually go to radar peak power divided by 1,000. It doesn't make it easier to read, but at least you can tell that this is 40,000 kilowatt. So steel work, as you guys probably know from the game Stalker, pretty scary looking radar. So this is garbage because all the good radar information everyone is probably down here. So we can definitely reduce the range max. We could also reduce power. Let's say we're interested in how about airborne radars maybe. So then we'll go ahead and we'll create another filter. We'll say radar power less than most airborne radars are less than 1,000, but there's always exceptions. And let's see what happens. Well, that was worthless. Apparently, this Rother receiver is absurdly effective at what it is. So we're going to need another filter. Let's see, range max. We're interested in aircraft engagement range. 300 is probably. Pipe it. Try that. I guess that's useful. Oh, great. So, well, that's every radar in existence, and I can't tell any of them apart. So it's a good time to go ahead and take a look at some. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new aesthetic. This time I'm going to create a color aesthetic. What is this color going to be? Color is going to be general of the radar. Talking about my generation. So what this does for us is this says, by the way, the lighter the blue, the more modern the radar, the darker blackish, older radar. You can change it, by the way. There's a 50-50 shot that I'm going to remember the exact thing correctly. Was it color scale? If you guys are in Rstudio, I love this paper. What again? Oh, scale, fill, scale, scale, fill. Great, there it is. Scale, fill. And color. 50-50 shot. Go. Not scale fill. It's like a legend. That. Of course not. Oh, it's not scale fill. It's colors. Not going to get too far into this because they know I'm going to forget. Now let's scale color gradient. That's nice. Scale fill gradient. Scale color gradient. That's the one I was looking for. Go. Whoa, you can't do that. Can't do that. All right, what did I forget? Scale color gradient. Scale color. Or plot real quick. Get this part. Hey, it worked. Got it. So, unfortunately, it looks like everybody's purple. The reason why is there's an ancient radar somewhere probably down here, which is completely throwing off this calculation. I'm going to go back up to filter real quick, and I'm going to add one more and say generation is greater than, let's see. I don't know if that's going to help, but we'll take a look. Again, that's the, go. When you're doing the word generation, there we go. No, that's still pretty worthless. Take a look. It's not too bad. That's not too bad. So now what we have is a nice plot which gives range as well as the power. Unfortunately, I was really hoping this relationship, but as you guys know, you have to double the power. You have to increase the power by 4, double the range. Yeah, exactly. Keep that in mind. But you can see there's some of these purple radars which are a little bit weaker, but they have great range. But you also have these earlier radars, kind of the not 2010. That's way out here, which is range. So which one of these are we going to mount on our airplane? That's complicated. 100 nautical miles too. But as you can see, it's go ahead and now there's one more set of data that we're going to take a look at today, and that's going to be the weapon data. This is one of my favorites. So we're going to say WEP table from database data. All right, go ahead and take a look at WEP real. Oh, I love this tab. So every weapon in the game is here, and there's 33.7 here. You have things for missiles, for generations, you have the sizes of the missile, cruise altitude, your percent of kill, you also have range. So let's say we want to come up with what are the deadliest weapons in command that are also guided weapons. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new quick to make for us. So what I'm going to do, let's say WEP. We're going to go ahead and take WEP. I'm just trying to think exactly what I want to do. I want to filter it by type. I believe we want type conventional weapon. 2001 is considered a guided weapon. And then what I wanted to do, base, I'm going to go ahead and range, sending order, air, POK. What does that do for us? That makes things pretty messy as it does. Let's go ahead and shrink this down a little bit easier. We'll also select name, air, POK. Whoops. What am I spelled name. There we go. Rolling up. Ding. Got it. So according to this, highest percent of kill for air weapons in the game are the AMRAAM series. Again, the Aster series, the Patriot is in here. The AAM-5 is in here. The Archer's in here. The Grizzly, yikes, in here. These super duper long range missiles in here. The SAMs. It doesn't really start losing POK until you get to the 160. That's kind of like a short range engagement. So that's actually pretty cool. We can graph this also if we wanted to. We could say a weapon versus POK or something like that. You could even do a bar graph if you want eyes to believe it. So I don't necessarily recommend that you play, but it's kind of neat. So what about if we want to land POK? So I'm going to introduce most dangerous land weapon. Guaranteed. Going up to the tippy top, we can see that the MLRS AT2 with anti-tank mines has a 99% of kill for land targets. That's pretty deadly. So that's how we can filter that information out, which is pretty cool. But I want to actually, what I want to do, I want to plot this. And this time, I'm going to pick an aesthetic. I'm going to do range versus kill. So I believe weapon, surface, one air range max. Y value will be air PA. And I'm also going to make sure I filter out any weapon that doesn't have an air POK, because we want to ignore things like torpedoes. Go ahead and map that to grab that last time, because that stuff worked really well. Here, we're going to that whip. Let's see. For color generation, does that make sense? That's fine. Find out what happens. Whoa. Okay. So this just plotted everything we see. So this is range in the bottom. This is nautical miles, by the way. And we have some of these super duper, ultra mega, super duper long range weapons. So there's absolutely no point to leave generation there. For anything that does need color that would actually benefit here. CEPs. I don't know. It's like, oh, that would be cross. But again, when you're playing with this, you decide what are the range or something like that. But yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. Air, range. I think it's gonna get a little okay. There we go. So then we have minimum range, then we have maximum range. You pretty much right away that ground-based mid-course interceptor anti-ballistic missiles are gonna be way on the right. So let's go ahead and filter those guys out, because they're really not doing anything for us. Let's say air range max is less than, let's say 150. Whoop, it helps if you spell the word filter right. Try that. Didn't make it any better, but at least we can get a feel for it. So you can take a look that we have some spectacularly deadly weapons. Now we have some spectacularly long-range weapons. Incredibly, the SA-5 still lives. Not the greatest POK. But coming up here, we've got these rims. We have the AIM-1. Spectacular range. We also have the Skybow 2. You have the AIM-54C. Oh, yeah, that guy's got some. And this is a way to visualize all the data. And you can like a here. That's not unusual. So anyway, this has been kind of a cool little way to look at data. Again, there's so many things to get out of these tables. I've gone into the ships and like mapped them to things. And picks the biggest ship or who has the longest range. You can all view that very easily in the program. All right, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll kind of do some other regular stuff another time. But again, for those of you guys who are really into stuff, this is just another wonderful thing to have. Thanks.